Yes. All right. So I just reviewed my intermission video, and now now I have to clarify some other shit. It's like you talk yourself into a fucking wall. So I'm explaining. I have to. This is a thing about stories like this. You start having to go into all kinds of different areas, and so, so I'm explaining a little bit about myself to help clarify some things so that to quell, like, the potential questions that I might get. Because I've been through this before, talking about certain stuff, and then people start trying to fuck and be like, well, why would you even be around a person like that? I mean, doesn't that make you like one of them, or this and that? And so I did this intermission video to kind of quell some of these questions where it's like, dude, look, man, look, I don't really, and it required me kind of talking about myself and just where I'm coming from. Okay. So I reviewed this video, and then I'm, in part of the video I'm talking about how I have all kinds of friends. Like I have friends that are fucking like CEOs of fucking corporations, and friends that are fucking, middle class. I got friends that are homeless. I got friends that are doctors. And then I mentioned that I have friends that work for the FBI. And I said FBI agents. I have friends that are FBI agents. And so now, of course, that's gonna cause a lot of shit where you have friends that are FBI agents. Okay, so now I have to talk about that, and which actually it is part of the story. So I'll go ahead and talk about it. I have a friend that he's not an FBI agent that I'm aware of, but he does international cybersecurity for the FBI. Now, if that makes him an FBI agent, well, then I do have a friend that's an FBI agent. I mean, that doesn't, to me, he just does international cybersecurity for the FBI. That's what he does. And he's a friend of mine, yeah. So if that makes you feel like that maybe I'm some kind of agent, like a Mossad agent or some kind of agent, because I have a friend who does international cybersecurity for the FBI, you think what you want. I mean, I've known the guy for a while, and so yeah, you can think what you want. I mean, of course. I don't know, I don't know what to tell you about that. Yes, I have a friend that does international cybersecurity for the FBI, and he's a great guy. I love him. He's a fucking great guy. And I don't really talk to him a lot. I used to see him a lot. I used to see him. Well, here we go again. Me talking about me. I met him in AA, and we got to know each other in AA. And it wasn't until I'd known of him, and we were, friendly acquaintances, more than friendly acquaintances. We were friends. We're still friends. But it was years later I found out he did international cybersecurity for the FBI. I didn't know. I mean, I remember when I kind of knew that he did something like that, but I wasn't sure. And actually, I believe how I found out was when this event all fucking blew up in my face. And I was talking to some of my friends, and I was asking them about him. And I was like, doesn't he do some kind of, like, isn't he like in law enforcement or some kind of fucking weird shit? And then some of my friends were telling me that he does international cybersecurity for the FBI. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? And so I called him and told him about this event that happened to me, and I sent him pictures of some evidence and asked him if he could work some magic and maybe see if he can find some shit out about this and that and stuff. And he believed my story, and he was like shocked by my story, and he admitted to me that he would have no idea what to do in my situation. And he asked me if he could give me some advice. And I was like, please, dude, that's why, please, bro, I need help. And he told me that because he has close friends that are like high level attorneys, that he's been known for years, based off of what he has learned by having, you know, friends that are high level attorneys. He told me that the only advice he would feel confident giving me in the situation I was in was do not talk to the police. Okay. So imagine being in that situation. I mean, who else would you go to but the police? Aren't the police the people that you're supposed to go to when people are putting death threats out on you and burning your home down and committing murder and like attempting to frame you for the murder and conspiring to murder you? Wouldn't it be the cops that you would go to? And according to my friend who does international cybersecurity for the FBI and has for many years, he admitted, first off, he wouldn't have any idea what to do in my situation. And the only advice that he felt comfortable giving me, based off of close relationships that he has with high-level attorneys, is do not talk to the police. So anyways, I wanted to kind of clarify the thing, because when I rewatched my video, I noticed that I said, I have friends that are FBI agents. And that, so I'm like, let me clarify that, you know, is that, yes, I have a friend that does international cybersecurity for the FBI. Yes, I do. But I don't have friends that are FBI agents that I'm aware of. I might have a friend that I don't know is an FBI agent, you know. I don't know. Because despite what all appearances and what you might assume, I actually do have a good amount of friends, you know. And like I said, I didn't even really, I knew he did something and maybe it was for the FBI, but I wasn't sure. And then that's when I found out, oh, well, you're talking about bro? And I'm like, yeah, he does international cybersecurity for the FBI. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Yeah, bro, give him a call. Here's his number. I'm like, oh my God, dude, I got to call this fucker, man. Maybe he can help me. But as far as that, I have friends that are FBI agents, not that I'm aware of. And my friend, I don't think that constitutes an FBI agent, that somebody does international cybersecurity for the FBI. So anyways, but yeah, I really wanted to clarify that because, you know, we're talking about conspiracy and stuff. Like, I am all about conspiracy, you know, like just look at me talking about, you know, the big club and all this shit. Like maybe where I'm coming from is way outside of the box of your typical conspiracy kind of dialogue and discourse, but it's total conspiracy, you know. Look at They Live in reference to homelessness. You think that homelessness depicted in the movie They Live is just a coincidence? Even though the movie They Live is like the most important movie that was ever made in regards to conspiracy and what's going on with all these conspiracies in the world, that it just coincidentally just happens to, you know, have is all surrounds a homeless guy, Roddy Piper's John Nada, just happens to be homeless, and it doesn't mean anything. Like, you got to be retarded if you regard the movie They Live as the greatest movie in relation to exposing conspiracy, and you don't think that the portrayal of homelessness all throughout the movie They Live has anything to do with all this conspiracy. You've got to be retarded. And that's the thing about the truther community, is look at how much of the truther community is talking about homelessness. Like, nobody. But if you go through my videos, I'm like trying to refrain from talking about homelessness, and I can't refrain from it because it is so massive of a component of all the conspiracy that everybody's like, all the truther community is all about the conspiracy. But how much of the truther community is even talking about homelessness at all? Like 0.0001%, and I just happen to be part of that 0.0001%. You know, like, man, you got to be careful what's popular in the truther community. So, anyways, I'm all over the place, but yeah, man. So, but anyways, these are just things about me that I need to clarify as part of this, as I go deeper into this story about the event and the pre-event and the post-event. Is at some point I have to start kind of talking about myself to help clear up the picture of this story that happened to me. Like, you're going to have to learn some things about me. And these are even things that I don't necessarily like to talk about publicly. You know, like my sobriety and stuff. I really don't. I really value my anonymity. So I am really kind of like going outside of my own code and sharing personal things about myself with you, for the purposes of really trying to get a clear illustration of this story. And because the story involves me, at some point I am going to have to talk about, look, here's some things about me that you may need to know before I continue on with this story. Because I can already anticipate people are going to be like asking questions and being like, well, why are you so stupid to hang out with somebody who has a tattoo? Well, I mean, but like literally, that's got to be the dumbest question. But you have to anticipate dumb questions. Why would you be hanging out with somebody who has a tattoo? Don't you know that everybody that has tattoos is the spawn of Satan, and they're blah blah blah? No, I didn't know that, and I don't know that. I don't know where you're getting your information from, but anyways, these are things about me. Like, I'm used to hanging out with people with tattoos, and sometimes the people I hang out with that have tattoos happen to have pentagram tattoos. And sometimes those people just happen to be all about Jesus, and they just made a mistake in their life and got a pentagram tattoo and haven't gotten around to removing it. And they're like going on and on about Jesus and shit. And I'm like, come on, bro. I've heard of Jesus. You don't need to keep telling me about Jesus and shit, motherfucker, or whatever. But this is what I'm talking about. Like, I got to kind of share some, and then I make the slip up of telling people that I have friends that are fucking FBI agents. So now I got to explain that and be like, look, here's something else about me. I don't have friends that are FBI agents per se that I'm aware of. My friend in reference, he does international cybersecurity for the FBI. Now, if that's an FBI agent, then yeah, I have a friend who's an FBI agent. But whatever the case, to me, it don't mean nothing. It doesn't mean nothing to me. Like, I know the guy, so I know, but whatever the case, no, I don't have a bunch of friends that are FBI agents. And my buddy, he's not, I would never view that as an FBI agent, but maybe technically he is. But so there's that. I'm just being honest with you. But so now people are gonna maybe assume that I'm an agent or that I'm a snitch for the FBI or something like this. And so you know how this shit goes. But again, in order for me to tell this story, I have to start talking about myself too, so that people can understand what this story is, And any friends like that I have, it's because I've been in AA for almost 23 years now. And, I might have friends in AA that are FBI agents, but I don't know. That's what I'm saying. This is the problem. You might have friends that are FBI agents. So what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Does that mean that you're an agent? Well, no, because I know what it's like to have a friend that's associated with that stuff. And I'm not an agent that I'm aware of. I'm not a snitch or rat. Like, what would I snitch on? I don't even like, I don't do anything. I don't get involved with, typically I don't get involved with any kind of like drug dealers or anything like that. Everybody does drugs now, so it's impossible to not associate with people that do drugs to varying degrees. And I have over the years had good friends that do drugs. Like, what? I don't know what the big deal is. I believe in the decriminalization of drugs. I don't believe in legalizing drugs, but I believe in decriminalizing them. And just don't put a person in prison for 25 years because they had a half a pound of weed. That's stupid. And you'd be surprised how many people are in prison because they had a half a pound of weed 10 years ago, and they're still sitting in prison. Do you agree with that shit? I don't. And that's because of the criminalization of drugs. Well, if you decriminalize drugs, then you're not legalizing drugs, but decriminalizing them means people aren't going to go to prison for 25 years because they smoked a joint, or going to prison for 25 years because they had $50 worth of crack cocaine in their pocket or something. I don't agree with that. If you agree with that, I would say you're fucking insane. You're part of the problem. So I have friends to this day that, they might smoke crack every once in a while. I don't know. Like, I know they smoke weed and they drink, and they probably are blast off on DMT, and I don't judge people. And I've been sober for 23 years, and I don't judge people. So you do? Like, I don't even do drugs or alcohol, and I don't judge them. How could you judge them when you're not 23 years abstinent from all drugs and alcohol? That doesn't make sense to me. So you see, all this stuff I can go into. This is all crazy shit. I know this is like fucking 40 minutes of fucking intermission. But I will get back into the pre-event. Again, though, I do have to say, I have to kind of talk about myself because this story involves me. I am like the common denominator in this story. And if I'm telling you all this shit and you don't know nothing about me, well, you're not getting the whole story. And so I'm just being as honest with you as I can about myself. More honest than I otherwise would. Like I said, because I only have 3 subscribers, I will talk about that I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I never talk about that. I rarely ever. It's a rule that I just don't talk about that. But I am now because I only have 3 subscribers. Also, though, it really helps to clear up more potential misunderstanding of this story that I'm trying to illustrate. And just like about who I am, like I'm not a snitch, like, people make I've been accused of all kinds of things on the internet, being a Mossad agent, being a this, being a that. I've been accused of being a fascist. I've been accused of being a communist. I've been accused of being an agent of this or that. All these different types of agents. I don't know what all the names, the Mossad, the 88th Brigade, or whatever, all this shit. I've been accused of tons of shit online, and it's all ridiculous. Like you think much more highly of me than I am if you think I'm some kind of agent. But like that I'm a snitch. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of snitches in the world. There's a lot of snitches. The only thing is what I just don't know what I would be snitching on, because I pretty much isolate. I don't even, and the only people that I do hang out with are fucking Alcoholics Anonymous members for the most part, or people that look like they need help and I want to help them. That's it. I don't make a habit to hang out with drug dealers and all. That's why this story is so insane, is like, so all this shit that happened to me involving the murder of Todd Minshall, the investigation into Todd Minshall's death, the death threat, the arson and that burned half a block down, all this stuff. That's what's so insane about all this to me, is I could understand all this happening if I was associating myself with drug dealers and get involved in all kinds of weirdo shit. But like, I'm the opposite of that. Like, I don't hang out with anybody. And the majority of the time when I do hang out with anybody, they're sober members of Alcoholics Anonymous. And every once in a while, I might meet someone like this chick and try to help her and be like, dude, why don't you meet some of my friends? These are all sober friends of mine, maybe you ought to consider like getting away from these crazy people you're hanging out. Every once in a while I might associate with someone like that, but out of like trying to help them, like, dude, why don't you hang out with some of my sober friends or shit like that? But yeah, So I could understand if I was involved in all this wacky shit, and that's how I get dragged in the middle of a murder investigation and get receiving death threats and all this crazy stuff and arsonists burning my fucking home down and all this crazy shit happening in 2 weeks. Like, I could understand. I would be more like, okay, yeah. But this is a situation where it just like, I'm not, there's no reason that all this shit is happening to me. But the reason is because my ex was a psycho involved in witchcraft and Satanism and Illuminati, willing participant in Illuminati, willing participant in Satanism, willing participant in witchcraft and shit like this, all behind my back. And then it all blew up in my face out of nowhere. It's like, bam, everything just like, and then I'm trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together to figure out what's going on. And that's when I find out she's involved in Satanism and willing participant in Illuminati and Luciferianism, and like literally. So, and all this will come out when I do the post event, and a lot of it will also come out with the pre-event. And so this is why I'm doing all this. So that's that.